Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Inferno cast. I, of course, am Inferno Fox, a host, and I am here to present to you a fantastic topic with my awesome cast and crew. And just a quick welcome to a number of the new subscribers that have joined the Inferno Fox Gaming channel. Welcome. This podcast here is a weekly podcast where we discuss various video game topics. The Inferno Fox Gaming channel tends to lean on three primary things, that being RPGs, Nintendo, and retro gaming. And the nice thing about the Inferno Cast here is that we allow for general open discussion about video games, other related topics, and Taylor Swift. So we have a lot of awesome things that we can run through here. So definitely want to give all of you new subscribers and of course all the returning ones a big shout out. Hello, welcome, and hope you enjoy your journey here. We got a lot of content, got podcasts weekly, we got regular videos weekly as well on Tuesdays and Fridays respectively. So let me introduce my fantastic cast here. And we have Jason the 13th. He has a YouTube channel of Jason the 13th that specializes in a lot of gameplay, live gameplay, such as Pokemon, Legend of Zelda, and everything like that. Jason, thank you so much for joining us.
Not a problem. I'm just getting over being sick, so maybe I can get some recording done here soon.
Nice. Yeah, definitely looking forward to getting some more of your content and everything like that. And hope you feel better soon, too.
Yep.
And we also have Simbu Darkfang. He's a primary actor over Basement of the Dead. He's got a wide history of a lot of video game playing, and he also has some game playing online as well from Scurryface. We've got a link in the description below. You'll be able to find links for everybody's content in the description below. So I definitely recommend that you check out that content. So Simbu, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, I'm always, available for a good time. Oh, it didn't work. It kind of went away. There it is.
That is quite a good time.
He held up an hourglass for podcast listeners.
Yeah.
Audio
And
only.
Yes.
and I'm not saying anything. I'm being the good one over here,
Speaking
I'm
of
old. Give me a break.
speaking of the good one, that was, of course, Stormrosesky of the YouTube and Twitch channels of Stormrosesky. You can go to her Twitch channel for live gameplays as well as her YouTube, but her YouTube also has some really fantastic content just on like general media as well as like your favorite comfort food, TV shows, movies, that sort of thing. So definitely recommend checking out her YouTube channel as well. Storm, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I hope to have another video soon. It's just been busy. Real life, personal life has gotten in the way and all that fun stuff. So, but I am starting to stream some games on YouTube as well. So, been playing around with putting Fortnite and God of War playthroughs on there. So, look forward to that coming soon.
Excellent. Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And next up, we have Astrimedes. He is a developer and co-owner of Second Place Games. Well, one of his releases was Horde Lord for Android devices. So Astrimedes, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I do a day job of software development, and I narrowly missed a long night at my day job to be here instead. So I'm extra happy to be here.
Nice. Yeah, because I know you've had a couple of those the last couple of weeks. It's been pretty stressful, pretty crazy.
Yep, we'll probably continue for a while. Such is the life of a software web developer.
Can I post a vote because his cat makes appearance in everything? Can we change him from Astrimedes to Catstrimedes?
Jamie Owls is probably like, hey, I resemble that remark.
We'll get more subscribers.
Probably. Probably.
He's gonna show up with cat ears in the next cast.
If we hit 1 million subscribers, we'll change my name.
There you go. There you go. You heard it here first.
A furry costume.
All right. All right, JB Owls, we've got a mission now because we're gonna make him change his name. Let's get 1 million. Woo!
And only you, our audience, can help us reach 1 million. So make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell for notifications.
Please, please, because some of us are just substitute teachers, and it's hell out there. Let me tell you. Anyway, carry on.
And last but not least, we have Jamie Owls 87, my partner and partner in crime. Jamie Owls, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. I'm just snacking on my favorite candy, sweet tarts. By the end of this podcast, they'll probably be all gone. And I'm
And
trying
so-
to keep the cats from fighting. So
Yeah, I was gonna. So you'll be hyper and chasing the cats around then.
I'll tire them out so they can just go to sleep.
And if we hit 1 million subscribers, Jay Meows will eat 1 million bags of those candy for this podcast.
Ooh.
Challenge
I was
accepted.
gonna say, she said sweet tarts. So how long before Jason the 13th disappears and shows up at your house in front of Fox?
I don't know, but
Only
that
if there's the
many
million
of them,
bags.
It'd
Yeah,
make
you can
everyone's
help me.
tongue wrong. It'd make everyone's tongue raw from eating that much.
Yeah, that would just be another weekend at Thailand.
Oh.
So let's talk about our topic. But before that, before we get to our main topic, we're going to discuss and announce the winner of the Taylor Swift contest. So in case you missed it 2 weeks ago, and in case you're missing it now on YouTube, we have Astrimedes holding his nice, cute little cat. So make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Otherwise, if you're just like listening, but you miss the cat content, you can catch the audio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and more. But you do that, you don't get the live cat content. So, but back to Taylor Swift. So on the last episode during the sports games and during our Super Bowl predictions, we made the most sports relevant prediction. And that is exactly how many seconds Taylor Swift was going to appear on camera, specifically from kickoff until the end of the game. And wouldn't you know it, the game went into overtime, which meant bonus Taylor Swift time. That's right. And I've heard multiple reports, though, the total amount of time, it was 51 seconds, 54 seconds, 55 seconds, though the most reports that I've seen have corroborated the 54-second marker. 54 seconds. So that means the Taylor Swift contest winners are a tie between Jamie Owls and Simbu, who guessed 60 seconds. 60 seconds being the closest, with Storm's guess of 45 seconds being the second closest. Then you had Mobster with 34 seconds. You had myself with 24. You had Jason with 0, and you had Astrimedes, who didn't want to dignify any of that with a response.
He pleaded the fifth.
Infinity was my response.
And in a way, maybe Astrimedes is the winner because Taylor Swift knows no end.
Hey,
So
I guess
what is
0
favorite
because I
singer?
didn't care.
So what is their prize? We gotta know what is their prize, and the prize is the satisfaction of knowing that the Superb Owl enjoyed the highest ratings ever for the game, with over 123 million viewers tuning in. So thank you, Taylor Swift, for making the Super Bowl such an exciting event to watch. And there were 2 teams that played too, right? So congrats again, San Fernando Chiefs and Kansas City 69ers. So there you have it. The fantastic Taylor Swift winners. Congratulations, Simbu and Jamie Owls.
Yay!
Yeah.
As for prize, more sweet tarts.
Yes, and that's the gift that keeps on giving.
And now we have a kitty.
That's for the YouTube
I was
viewer.
expecting the
Yep.
almost had it, didn't you?
For the non-YouTube videos, Jamie Owls has changed her picture to what her eyes currently look like after ingesting all of those sweet tarts.
Yeah, probably.
So now we've pretty much got the Taylor Swift stuff out of the way. Let's dive right into the main topic, and that's going to be the multiplayer games. But this one's going to be a focus kind of specifically on video games that see players working together towards a single goal, such as completing the main game itself. These kind of games have a long history, especially back in the arcade days, because of course nearly all gaming had begun in the arcades, and a lot of that, the two-player co-op really started there, especially with stuff like beat 'em ups. But we did already just touch upon the beat 'em ups on a pretty recent podcast episode, so make sure you check that out. Uh, but that's actually a great example of the type of games we're speaking of. Two players or more where applicable, working together to take down a threat by level, has had legs within beat 'em ups as well as others like platformers, shmups, and more. So we're just going to kind of get right down to it and get to talking about some of our favorite experiences we've had playing these simultaneous games with friends and family together. So I'll ask the crew here what some of your favorite arcade and or NES simultaneous video games have been, and then I'm gonna put the little note or caveat. Remember that Super Mario Brothers 1 and 3 are not simultaneous games because both players take turns. They're not both going at the same time. So kind of keeping that in mind. Again, it's two players playing at once. And we are going to ask the poor, tired, sore-throated Jason the 13th. What are some of your favorite arcade or NES simultaneous video games?
Ooh, well, if you're going arcade, it was always the Marvel stuff because that was my go-to growing up, is just Marvel anything. So the X-Men, the Wolverine, the Avengers, all of those were great. And you keep calling them two-player, but arcade was like four-player half the time. So that was the most fun, is when you got four players to actually play at the same time. But if you're going out of arcades, you mentioned in the email that Monsters in My Pocket was one. I do not recall that being. Then again, it may have just been me playing it solo and not with my brothers on that one. But that would be up there my favorite games, even though I don't remember it being a co-op game. But Snake Rattle and Roll was an awesome one. Oh my gosh, I remember having a lot of fun with the Bubble Bobble games. But for the old stuff, that would be like the old stuff that I do recall offhand.
Nice. I remember Snake Rattle and Roll. That was a really hard game, but like it's just cool being snakes and eating. You have to eat crazy crap, and you have to lick a foot, and you have to weigh yourself down to open a door on a scale or something. It was really kind of crazy, but it was fun. Astrimedes, how about you? Do you got any arcade or NES simultaneous style games? Maybe you played with your brother and tortured.
Yeah. So we played a lot of, competitive games, but so in terms of the arcade, Gauntlet 2, I played a lot of in the arcades. I loved Gauntlet 2. I still think it was like one of the best games of no, I'm sorry, Golden Axe 2. I apologize. I played a lot of Gauntlet also, but I feel like Golden Axe was a more fun overall game and satisfying. Like the first couple Gauntlets were actually pretty okay. Also, I played those some in the arcades. But in terms of like the games I would say I was kind of most excited about, really loved as co-op games, I played a ton of Double Dragon 2, which was discussed a bit, I know, in the Beat 'em Up podcast. But Double Dragon 2 is great because it's basically very similar, difficulty to Double Dragon 1, which is very, and with the added fun of being able to both fight with and against the other player you're playing with. So there were definitely a lot of Double Dragon 2 kind of promising runs me and my brother would have that would just devolve into a fight between our characters until one of them just killed the other one and then continued on with their one or two remaining lives and eventually died in the game. Yeah, I'd say Double Dragon 2 and then River City Ransom also on NES I loved and played a ton of, both solo and with my brother, again a lot on that one. I know again that was kind of discussed during the Beat 'em Up podcast, but really good early mix of RPG elements in a very like actiony arcadey game where at the time it wasn't that common yet to really see those sorts of things being used. So it's a really fun game. It's really just fun to look at too. That I forgot what they call their style. Like, what is it? Kunio or Kunio Kun?
Yeah.
I want to say
Kunio
was
go ahead.
the name of the game in Japan originally or whatever. This whole series of River City in the U.S. Games, but yeah, they look great in addition to being really fun. But yeah, and I think that game for some reason in that game it was much more rare that it would devolve into like a slugfest between me and my brother, even though I think you could hit each other in that one too, or possibly only hit each other with thrown items may have been the case in that one. But I'll mention as I kind of put my list together here, we also played Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. And like I noticed this common theme of a lot of these co-op games I remember, the common theme is you can throw the other person. So Chip and Dale, you can throw the other person. Double Dragon, I think technically you could throw them because I believe there was still some kind of grapple hold
Yeah, like a
throw thing.
melee thing.
Yeah, something like that. And then yeah, I guess those are the only ones from this generation that qualified. But I think in every kind of generation I went through, there's an example of one of them you can throw them, and it's a feature I remember from the game.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember playing River City Ransom with my older brother, and it was the same thing. Had that spirit of cooperation and work together, but not so much to where you could pick up an annoying brother and throw him over into a pond, and that immediately kills them, and they lose half their money. So, you mentioned Gauntlet. I want to kind of spec on that for a second because the first Gauntlet on the NES, I think was only 2-player, but Gauntlet 2 was 4-player simultaneous, if I'm remembering that right.
I think you're probably right. Yeah, because I remember that it wasn't a huge difference on it didn't feel like on the NES between Gauntlet 1 and 2. I think like there were basically just like some slightly updated graphics, maybe a few kind of more unique level features. And yeah, I think I also remember that's when you jumped from that must have been when did the NES 4-player adapter come out?
I think in 88 or 89, probably even
88?
90.
Okay. Really? Yeah, okay. I wonder when Gauntlet 2 came out because yeah, if it must have been right around the same time. That would kind of make sense. But yeah, the
1986.
okay. So a little earlier than that, yeah.
There you go.
Interesting. But yeah, the Gauntlet games were like I always found the Gauntlet games kind of like fun but flawed. Like I always wanted them to be a bit better, sometimes remembered them being a bit better than they actually were. And like every time I've gone back to play them, it's like, oh, this is fun. And I feel like I put it down about 15 minutes later.
He's
Yeah,
just mad because he always needs food badly.
They all do. They're so hungry in that game.
yep. Their health just drains even without it.
Yep.
I had to do the Doctor Google because Gauntlet 2 did release in 86 in the arcades. The NES port was in 1990. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the 4-year delay was about. Maybe it was something where they purposely delayed it for the multi-tap. That'd be my guess.
That could make sense. Yeah.
Um, Storm, let me ask you, what were some of your favorite arcade and or NES simultaneous multiplayer games that you had enjoyed?
Oh, to be honest, a whole lot of video gaming came late in life for me. So a lot of the earlier stuff that you're mentioning, I missed out on outside of playing some here or there in the arcade, as we've talked about before. But one of my favorites is Miss Pac-Man. There was for the Sega Genesis, there was a mode where you could work together to clear out certain mazes and stuff. And my mom and I played that a lot together. So that memory just trumps all of the others. Because that game is just so much fun. And as you all know, who have been listening since the beginning of time of this podcast, I just love Pac-Man. So surprise, surprise that Miss Pac-Man would show up. There was another one though, Rampage.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, I forgot
Yes.
Rampage.
Yep.
Rampage was
I
fun.
love Rampage.
Yes, so there's my two Rampage. I just love destroying the buildings and whatever, just wreaking havoc as one of the big ape or something. So
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the Pac-Man multiplayer. Thinking about it, it seems like that could actually work really well, like really simply too. Like you could do with 2 players, you can kind of mess with the AI of the ghosts more and everything, I'd imagine a bit. That seems fun.
it was, and you could, they would. It's been forever, but they would increase the speed of the ghosts, of course, as you go along. But then adding two, they would go a little bit faster, but it was easier to clear out some of the levels that just seemed impossible. to do because of just one person and the ghost. So having another person to take care of them helped out a
Yeah.
lot. So it made it fun.
And you got the hazard though of, and I remember this being an issue when both like Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man are going. If you happen to run into each other, you both go skidding in the direction you came from, and
Yes.
you cannot move until your character runs into a wall. Like
Yep.
so, like it's great if you're really good and coordinated about it,
Yeah.
but you got to be careful of that.
Yep. Otherwise, you get tossed right back into a ghost. Like a shock, like a shockwave grenade went off, and you're going backwards from where you came from.
Yep, you get yeeted.
Yes. Yes.
That's an interesting thing to add on to make a little add a risk part to the reward of having two players.
Hmm. Yeah. Punishment. Punishment for your help.
Simbu, how about you? What kind of did you have any sort of experiences with simultaneous gameplay with arcades and NES games?
So NES, realistically, my only real experience was Contra. That was a lot of fun, frustrating as all can be, but a lot of fun. Moving over to arcade play, Jason 13th mentioned, the Marvel stuff. So X-Men, Avengers, Stormrose mentioned Rampage. Fun fact about Rampage, I have met Brian Collin, who was the lead creator of Rampage. And interesting fact about it, it was concepted at a White Castle.
Yeah.
It's just a fun, weird fact. They came up with the idea for Rampage while eating at a White Castle restaurant. I believe they're in the White Castle Craver Hall of Fame for it, which is kind of fun.
That's
Again,
awesome.
Great
They can't-
Chicago company, Midway. Can't say enough good.
I think
Um,
Brian Collins may have shown up at a game jam that I did, one of like the couple game jam things I did. There were like I think one or two old school Midway guys there. I don't know if it was him or not for sure.
Yeah,
Nice.
he used to be when Pheasant Run was still around, and they would host their Pop Culture Con. He was always there.
Huh.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't play a lot of Rampage on the NES or the arcade. I did on the Nintendo 64 version because that was like I felt like it was arcade perfect because the whole gameplay and everything like that ran quick. The actual arcade game is super small, so of course it's going to fit on a N64 cart, but it was a lot of fun to be able to smash stuff, and the gameplay gets repetitive, but it's Rampage. We were expecting to win an Oscar for being a giant lizard or ape or rat destroying buildings. No, you're just and especially the world tour when you can like go to different cities in Illinois, like you're in Peoria or you're in Moline or something like that, and then you go to Wisconsin and you go to I think there was a Green Bay or something like that. It was pretty fun.
Probably. It was very easy since they really weren't any different. Basically,
Yeah.
like different color scheme, I guess, is mainly seem to be the difference.
And of course, one last one for arcades for this time frame, because I do have other ones, but the Simpsons game.
That was a
Ah,
fun one too.
That's
It
a
was
good one
crap.
too. Yeah, I forgot
was
about
crap.
that.
I hate The Simpsons. I hate it.
Uh-huh.
Liar.
Mhm.
The Simpsons did it.
The Simpsons did
I
it.
was just gonna say the Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it.
Simpsons did it. Simpsons did
Simpsons
it.
did it. Simpsons did it.
Let's get it all out of our system.
Yes.
No, you
Oh,
know why? The Simpsons did it.
oh, so fun.
They
That's
took our jobs.
They took your jobs. Okay. Jamie Owls, or I should probably emphasize the meowls based on the picture we're
Mhm.
seeing here on YouTube. What are some of your favorite arcade and or NES simultaneous video games?
I don't really recall playing a lot of arcade games except for, of course, Street Fighter and Pac-Man, Mortal Kombat, but NES simultaneously games, I would guess. Oh gosh, I'm going blank now. What was the name of it? Oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I used to play that a lot. Growing up as a kid with my brother, he had a couple of Ninja Turtle games. Most recently with you, Bubble Bobble with those two little dragons.
Yep.
Bomberman. Also Double Dragon. I played with my brothers when we were little. So those were the only games for the NES that you get to play with other people.
Now, while I got you, if we move up a generation, what about the Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis? Jamie Ellis.
Toe Jam and Earl.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
played
I'm
Toe
trying to
Jam and
think.
Earl also.
My mind's
Yeah.
going blank.
No, that's definitely a good one. I know I think I had you play the Turtles in Time game on the Super Nintendo with me a little bit. I'm trying to think if there was anything else.
Yeah. Oh, and of course Sonic the Hedgehog, playing 2-player in those, and Smash Brothers.
Yeah, obviously Smash being a few generations in the future, as poor Astrimedes is getting eaten by a cat. Again, if you're missing this and you're just listening to this through the podcast, make sure you tune in to Inferno Fox Gaming podcast on YouTube to watch Astrimedes get eaten by a cat.
And
Oh.
enjoy every second of it.
You go, oh.
Speaking of Astrimedes, how about it? Any SNES, Sega Genesis simultaneous gems?
I also played Toe Jam and Earl. I really liked it on Genesis at the time. Zombies Ate My Neighbors, I think was Super Nintendo and Genesis. I played it on Genesis, but I loved Zombies Ate My Neighbors. I thought it was a really fun co-op. It was basically like how to describe it. It was sort of like a top-down like exploration shooter sort of thing where it's like you have all these kind of weird wacky weapons like water guns and stuff like that, and you're like two kind of teenagers whose neighborhood has been overrun by zombies, and each level tended to have like really kind of like interesting different monsters that would have kind of like weird different ways of behaving. And it was just really like kind of chock full of like flavor and content. There were a ton of levels too. It was something crazy. There were like 99 levels or something. And yeah, it was a really fun game. I'm surprised how much I played it. I think I played it a bit when I was young and then kind of more in emulated form later. But I'll mention General Chaos again, just because it was like you could work in teams. Well, I guess you were actually fighting each other. I guess technically General Chaos wasn't co-op, but I remember liking Contra Hardcore a lot on Genesis. I played a lot of Contra Hardcore with my brother, which I felt like somehow for a Contra game, probably because it made much sort of weirder characters, it felt like it had a lot more kind of like style than some of the other Contra games. But yeah, Contra Hardcore was really fun and pretty difficult. Streets of Rage 3, I played a lot of. I played pretty much all the Streets of Rage games. And Gunstar Heroes, which is this generation's you can throw each other entry. I played a lot and do remember tossing each other a lot in this one. But this game was so hectic and you couldn't actually shoot each other that it never really devolved into a full out fest like that. Though I do remember now as I talk about it, I remember we'd clear out enemies and I would usually attempt to jump over to where he was and throw him somewhere he didn't want to be repeatedly while there were no enemies on the screen. So I tried to make it obnoxious wherever I could.
Did you ever play the Zombie Ate My Neighbor sequel, Ghoul Patrol?
I heard about it, but I think never actually played it. Or if I did, maybe I fired it up in emulation like one time or something. But yeah, I didn't really play it. No, I don't really know anything about it.
So it's I have a I got a pre-order pickup coming hopefully this Thursday to Best Buy, a physical copy of Zombie Ate My Neighbors plus Ghoul Patrol for the Switch. And I'm like,
Oh, neat.
I got to get a physical copy of that because that's going to be another one of those that's probably not going to be a easy pickup. I have a feeling. Um,
What do you mean by that? Not going to be an easy pickup?
Because I noticed a lot of these physical, physical is dying. Two, it's going to be one of the ones that they probably
Oh, just
didn't.
hard to find. You mean? I got you. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, now I understand.
So, no, those are good, some really good picks. I have a lot of appreciation with the Sega Genesis stuff, especially with my more recent history with that. Man, I need to get more into Contra Hardcore though. I only put in a couple hours into that, and I need to like put a lot more so I can really appreciate what it's done. I mean, just seeing the Castlevania game on the Genesis and how unique that was, but still feeling like a Castlevania. That's the same thing with Contra Hardcore. It's unique, but it's still Contra at its heart. So, Storm, I know you had mentioned Ms. Pac-Man for the Genesis already. Did you have any other gems that you had simultaneous gameplay with on that system or the Super Nintendo?
You know, does all I can think of right now on the Genesis is the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 when Tails came in. Does that count as
Yes.
I'd say it
Okay.
counts.
Okay, because yes, then I played that one, and I was happy I got that on the Switch for gold, so I spent no money on it. But
Nice.
yeah. So I forgot then obviously Sonic, if that since that counts, because my cousin and I would try to play. We would get through a few levels and then get frustrated and give up and start again. But so that would be the only one.
When you mentioned that you used the points on it, did you get the Sega Ages version? That's one you got?
Yes.
I need
Yes.
to get you the Sonic Origins Plus because that's the Sonic's 1, 2, and 3 in CD, but widescreen.
Ooh. Okay.
It is the definitive way to play, although the bad thing is that it doesn't have the Michael Jackson music from Sonic 3. So
Hmm. Darn.
take
I
that
mean,
for what it is. I can't say like I'm a huge fan of his work, but the
yes.
music tracks of acts no zones 4 through 6 in the original Sonic 3, it slaps. It's fantastic. The music on that is excellent.
Awesome.
So
I'll
I
have to
think
check it out.
yeah, I
Sure.
think that might be a birthday present idea for you or
Mhm.
something.
That
Hmm.
works.
Jason the 13th, how about you? What kind of Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis simultaneous games you
All
got?
right, I have to be the downer on Sega because I didn't own a Sega and I didn't play like any of the multiplayer games on Sega. But Super Nintendo, only two big ones that I can recall that we owned that came to mind. Battletoads Double Dragon. That game was awesome, even though it is considered a beater up one. But one that is not a beater upper, and probably one of my favorites of this type of game, and I don't know what kind of it, like what do you consider it? Where you're in the spaceships and you're going from 2D and just along the level, not like oh my gosh, not like Paperboy where you're going straight up a thing, you're going along. Super R-Type. That was
Oh,
always a fun game to play with my brothers.
was Super R-Type co-op? Because
Yes, the two of you can play at the same time when I'm almost positive. And if it wasn't Super R-Type, I'm thinking of a wrong game then.
yeah, maybe even
But I
Gradius or
almost
something like that.
positive Super R-Type was where you had the two players at the same time going.
Or I wonder if it's R-Type 3.
Oh, maybe. Like I said, maybe I'm thinking the wrong game because it's been so long, but
Yeah, I know there were a couple of those early shooters that did let you do like two players.
and there was one of
why
them
not
that
throw another ship on the screen?
I know me and my brothers played the crap out of it. And I thought it was Super R-Type.
Yeah, because some of those games, man, you freaking need
You need
you
that
need
second player.
yeah. Um, Simbu, how about you? What about Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo simultaneous silliness did you have to sew through?
So Battletoads X Double Dragon,
Yep.
obviously. Again, we're gotta go with beat 'em. Again, we covered beat 'em up. So Streets of Rage, Golden Axe. Lot of great memories of playing. That. if I'm remembering it correctly, I believe Time Crisis for the Genesis allowed 2 players. If I remember correctly, because I think you could purchase the second gun and have 2 of you at the same time, even though you're not on screen together. But it still kind of qualifies because you are both shooting at the same targets. So, of course, later generations, again, I have more of those, but those are arcade games.
I know it's funny, like games like that I sort of slept on, especially on the Super Nintendo. I hear a lot of people enjoyed like Sunset Riders on the Super Nintendo, where you can be 2 players and both fire at the screen and or fight at the screen. Like I really missed some really good games. Sorry, Simbu, go ahead.
The last one that I want to mention, and if I'm wrong, I know Inferno Fox is going to hang me by my toenails from his, Mario statue, but Kirby All Stars.
Superstar.
If I'm Superstar, there we go.
Make sure you grow those toenails so I can hang you. No, that was that was an awesome 2-player co-op game. That was
Yeah,
awesome.
it was sort of like a campaign thing, wasn't it? Like it was you
Yeah.
played actually through a whole set of levels sort of thing. It wasn't just a one-off.
Yeah, like technically they say 8 games in one, but really it's 7 separate single-player campaigns and then like 2 additional games, but they're more like mini games.
Yeah.
And like it was awesome too, because you could be like the main, it's almost like Sonic and Tails in a way, but where Kirby, he then creates his own ally based off of a power he absorbs, and you can have that ally. That ally does have an energy bar and it can deplete, but that ally is essentially can be regenerated with a different power or something like that. It was I would often play bodyguard duty for my older brother, who would be Kirby, whenever we would play together for that reason.
I remember a lot of times getting in arguments over who was going to be player 1. Because as everybody who has played the game knows, when you create the copy power or copy second player, they turn into the character of the power. So it's not just Kirby with a goofy hat. If it's the bomber guys, you turn into the little, elf guy with the bomb. So it was always an argument over who's going to be Kirby, because I want to play as I want to be player 2, which is generally a rare thing in any co-op game for somebody who wants to be player 2.
It's kind of the reverse of the Sonic situation, where you're just a second-class citizen who doesn't get camera preference.
Yeah, Kirby still gets camera preference, but at least you get to be the cool bomb guy. Or see, I always like to be the Waddle Doo with the little creature with the big eye.
With the beam.
Yep.
The elf bomb guy looked pretty hilarious. As soon as you said it, I could like see the guy's sprite in my head.
Oh my gosh.
I have to do a quick cut in. So you were correct. Super R-Type was not the game I was thinking of. Super R-Type is a solo player. Phalanx.
Oh yeah, with the goofy freaking
with the
cover art, right?
old man on the banjo on the cover for whatever reason. That's the one that you could be the 2 players at the same time, and we played all the time.
Yeah, it was a great shoot 'em up. The gameplay was good, the music was good.
That was bugging me. I had to look it all up. So
that's awesome. And I realized that I've asked you guys, I haven't given my answers on any of this Bojazz. I guess arcade, same thing, where it's probably the TMNT games, the arcade game and the TMNT Turtles in Time, maybe Simpsons, NES, probably RC Pro-Am 2. Loved playing that. I remember playing that with my buddy Ray at the time and my older brother. We literally went from the beginning of the game to the end and around again, all in like one overnight thing. So like that was a lot of fun. And then Sega Genesis, Streets of Rage, definitely was a lot of fun playing that with Jamie Owls. And Shoot, Super Nintendo. I'm gonna say this. I didn't really play this with anybody else, but Secret of Mana apparently was really, really big co-op because think action RPG, but you can play with three people. So you've got three characters and you have experience points and you level up and you level up spells, but you're playing with two other people right there. So I thought that the idea or concept of that was really great, but I just never played it as a kid, which is surprising. You'd have thought that'd be something me and my older brother would have done, but so yeah, that's definitely a few of my choices. But as we're sort of getting into the next few generations, one thing Nintendo had to focus on with like the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube was multiplayer gameplay. Again, sort of in person, whether or not it was simultaneous. After all, the Nintendo 64 was the first system built in with four controller jacks, insofar as it being like a Nintendo system, but it was the GameCube's generation that started to see the inception of online play, with GameCube having stuff like Phantasy Star Online, PS2 having Final Fantasy 11, and I think Xbox had Halo 2 that could be online. And really from there, multiplayer gameplay experiences really seem to have largely moved from that away from that like in-person couch co-op sort of thing to really just being online only. So I want to kind of ask your thoughts on this. Like what are your thoughts on that overall movement? What has been lost with that in-person experience versus what we have now with everybody connecting online from their homes? Simbu, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, for one, if somebody doesn't wear deodorant, you don't have to smell them. No, it's nice because we get to play with, people like Storm, a member of our crew here who doesn't live close by, who, wouldn't be able to make these things, especially like the people in Scurryface were spread out through all out the country, and to game together we can all get together online and we can all game, and we set up a Facebook voice call and we all talk crap to each other and bully each other there, and it's all from a place of love, so nobody get upset. um it definitely helps. um Again, saves my back from lugging that giant 27-inch box TV up 2 flights of stairs to yours and Mobster's apartment, and at the time to set up
I
four
think that
Xboxes.
traumatized Simbu. He's brought that up multiple times throughout our podcast.
Hey, it is true, and probably the reason I have back pain today.
You're probably not wrong.
But exactly. But at the same time, those nights were experiences that you can't really put that kind of a price on. Getting the gang together, and instead of having to listen for a reaction when an Inferno Fox and myself, clash swords 30 times, and then Mobster shows up with a plasma grenade and gets both of us. There's a real time, sense of, community and togetherness there that you can't exactly replicate online.
The problem with that though is it wasn't Mobster with a grenade. It was you and I butting horns like rhinoceros until one of us had an angle on the other and we both kill each other.
I remember there was a few times where the random plasma grenades would show up and we would both get,
Jason. No, those are definitely good points. And I agree with you too, where it's like the accessibility of the online gameplay as a whole does allow all of us to be able to get together without having to maybe even risk physical contact, if that's a whole thing. I mean, the event that we shall not name by name that rhymes with Schmovid has sort of really proven that. So in a way, it's nice, but you lose that whole FaceTime sort of experience of now you're in your 40s and you got back pain from lugging the 27-inch TV. But at least you've got the memories to sort of have that. Jason the 13th, what are your thoughts on that, just in general?
Like Simbu said, for as long as you know the people, it's an awesome feature. It's when you're doing the random internet people and you get paired up with some kid who just wants to mess around while you're trying to beat the game, or you can't cooperate because you can't communicate because you don't have mics to talk to them or whatever. But that's where the problems lie. But for the general, it's actually a good feature because like that, with Storm living so far away, if we want to play the same game, we can do it still. But like I said, the only issues is when you do the random people and you find the people who don't want to play, or are the I don't even know what the right word for all the hate that's out there, that people just spew all their nonsense while they're trying to game, and throwing insults and everything.
The trolls.
Yeah, that too.
Trolls. I was gonna say
that's the bad part.
The crazy people on the street corner.
Yeah, but Liz Simbu made all the good points already. I can't think of anything to add to what he said, so I'm just mainly pointing out the bad side.
About time there, Simbu. Jeez.
Hey, Storm, don't forget to slide, all right?
Oh, it's on now.
Love you.
Oh, Storm, anything that else that you want to add that maybe Jason or possibly Simbu has forgotten?
Oh, a whole bunch of stuff now. No, I'm kidding.
I hear knuckles cracking.
Downside,
Yeah.
she can't hit me right now.
Yeah. No, just wait until you need heals, or I need shield. Oh, I'm down. Well, like, good for you. Anyway, all their points were very, very well made. I've been speaking to kindergarteners all day today, so still have some of like that. I forget I'm speaking to adults. So you can, we used to play TurkeyCon or go to TurkeyCon. My husband would, your older brother there, Inferno, he would go a lot. And that was lugging old computer monitors and, big computer towers. And they would set up it was almost like not a warehouse, but someone would rent out this big, like maybe a gym auditorium, and bunch of people would be there and connect on their LAN networks and, all playing video games at the same time. And we joined a couple of times when we later got internet and could join them through Doom and Quake to playing those online and running our own servers. So that was a whole bunch of fun. There is the plus of having the games online is that, like you guys have pointed out, is I live far away from you now. So being able to play any type of game online with you is great. There is a game, what was it, the Evil Dead West, that Simbu and I started, that was a co-op, and I've been able to play like Zombie Army Party with friends as well, the Zombie Army Party 3 and 4, because of the online stuff. Unfortunately, there's the downside of the online stuff, that there's a whole bunch of keyboard warriors, everyone that feels that they can say and do what they want because they're behind a screen and you can't see them. One of those almost ruined my Fortnite experience, and that's why I will no longer go into if I go to play Fortnite, my party's locked, and I no longer have just like throw me into anything. I used to do that just because I didn't really know anyone who was playing, and one bad experience made me turn that off, and that was it, because I didn't need to hear all that they were spewing. And so then that is the downside, because humans are just humans and are trash sometimes. So, but the technology is great in that I love being able to play anything with you guys because we can. So we may not be in the same room, but at least we have, the internet to connect with and play some sort of video games.
Yeah, absolutely, and it really helps to highlight a lot of that sort of technological aspect, be able to connect when you're so far away. And Jamie, I'll kind of ask you the same thing. I'm not sure. I know you don't do a lot of online playing, so, but you've seen me do a lot of it. So, do you have any thoughts on this?
For me personally, I would not do online gaming with people that I do not know. Just like with Simbu and Stormrosesky mentioned, there are evil people in the world, some of them, and they think they could just say whatever behind a keyboard. And honestly, I don't really want to deal with that. But just like on the good side of that, you are able to still connect with people who are either friends or family who may not live close to you. So you're still able to have that closeness and connectedness, connection to be able to play fun games with each other and still feel not so alone. But yeah, and also the whole big box TV when we were talking about, I used to have one and it broke a lot on me. So I remember always having to buy a new TV and then carrying it and trying to hook it up in my bedroom was very not fun. But yeah, I used to watch you play Fortnite with everyone, and it does look fun, especially when you're playing with people you know. And I think that what makes it even more enjoyable because other people you don't know could be like mean or not fun to play with. So it's just, I don't know, like if it's different if you're in like a community in person and you're playing games together, you can meet face to face versus if you were just online. And some people can be just very immature and just say whatever they want, just thinking that they're being funny by being jerks. But for me, like I personally just choose to play games on my own or once in a very great while, maybe do an online game with Stormrosesky if we ever wanted to, which I know will be a lot of fun. And she won't go after me like she's planning on with Simbu right now, I bet.
Exactly.
Oh, you
Yeah,
you are
probably
one.
not.
You are always one step away from taking my spot, Jamie Owls. Just remember that.
It sounds like the main thing, and this is exactly what I was going to say. Like the main thing we've kind of honed in on is the fact that like it's kind of more so even than the fact the difference of whether you're playing online and in person. What actually like matters is like, is it are we playing with a random person? Are you playing with someone you know? You're playing with someone you get most of, still not all, but you get most of the same benefits as like if you were playing in person with them, and you're probably more likely to have voice chat on and all that kind of thing to make the experience at least sort of close to what it would be playing with that person actually in person. But yeah, the danger of the online situation is just the way the internet works with people online. If you're dealing with random people, you can be a bad experience. So I think what we're seeing more and more of in games is game design that encourages or forces, a, if not positive, sort of like neutral interaction between people. And, games have tried this to various degrees of success. Like I remember, when I first played Hearthstone, it seemed like Hearthstone was maybe early-ish game that decided on, you just have this handful of emotes. You have these like whatever it was, 5 emotes that you can do, and you can't communicate other than that. Well, people will even try to, grief that. Like I remember in Hearthstone when the other player was, being a jerk, they would, just repeatedly say hello or whatever at you. And it's like, oh, they're being a jerk with that. You can mute them pretty easily. So it wasn't really a big deal. That was their only means of interacting, and you can mute it. But yeah, it's interesting to see as time goes on what designers try to do in terms of just like making the experience as good as it possibly can be, and like minimizing the possibility of those terrible experiences that everyone has had, particularly women, as we see anecdotally in the experiences related by our group here.
Well,
Yeah,
it's interesting. Sorry. It's interesting you bring up what developers and stuff are doing, as a lot of people who may or may not know, a lot of voice chats are starting to be recorded. on the consoles. Like PlayStation party chats are starting to be recorded. Xbox is doing chat monitoring. Fortnite has chat monitoring, stuff like that. So, it is kind of something that they're trying to again ramp up, it seems like, to get the bullying, the trolling, the
Toxicity.
the bojazz, the exact toxicity. Perfect, thank you, Inferno Fox. To get that out of gaming and bring it back to, and I'm gonna make a comparison here to the haunt community. The haunt community as a whole, we're a bunch of misfits. We're a bunch of weirdos, a bunch of creeps that all came together and decided to scare the living bejesus out of people. And that's kind of what the gaming community needs to get back to, is we're all a bunch of weirdos, we're all a bunch of nerds, we're jocks, we're whatever, but we're all on here having fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'll never happen though, because I think part of the thing now is that gaming is so much more mainstream
Yes. I
that
was just
like
gonna
you're gonna
say.
have a much wider audience than even before. Because
It-
as you mentioned it, you're exactly right in that, like, when the community is more like that, like the chances of toxicity are gonna be probably a lot lower if you're dealing with a group that already is
Yeah.
like not the widest representation and it's sort of like a niche group, let's say.
But as soon as it does tend to open up, it becomes you get this sort of gatekeeping mentality, and it's
Mhm.
essentially being it's being a 4-year-old holding a toy and not feeling as special because there's now 3.4 million people that have your toy, and you just don't feel as special. And the fact that now your little community is so opened up and everything like that, and I agree with you. It's sad that that's the case, but it's a thing where we need to remember the days where, when I remember being like a kid, where you would only say that you enjoyed video games in hushed tones for fear of being ostracized and everything like that. Like we need.
The D&D clause.
I feel like, yeah,
Nerd, nerd,
we,
nerd.
we need to be able to celebrate the fact that gaming is so open and such a thing where you have such a wide, diverse set of individuals that are not only getting into playing them but making the games as well. Because only with that sort of diverse set of people do you get that diverse set of thinking, and you get unique video game experiences that aren't like the same beats that are constantly being hit. Because when you can innovate with games, you tend to make some fantastic stuff. I mean, look at Nintendo, how they constantly innovate with new stuff, although that's a horrendous example just because of how closeted Nintendo happens to be, how closeted and conservative, plus all the inherent our wordism that particular cultural schema tends to have. But let's get back to games. Let's get back to our
Yeah.
simultaneous multiplayer video games, because even with games favoring that sort of cooperative gameplay online versus in person, so like we've had a number of great titles that have come out even recently to feature this. So some of the contemporary examples include like the Overcooked series, Overcooked 1 and 2, A Way Out, Cuphead, Army of Two, and this guy right here, It Takes Two, probably leading the pack as one of the best examples of this. So I'm gonna bug you again, Astrimedes, because before the start of the podcast, you mentioned you want a couple of Steam titles. Not only go ahead and let us know some of them, but also if you've played any of these fantastic simultaneous current or contemporary games.
Yeah, I lately I feel like I'm always kind of searching for co-op games to play, either with my wife or with my friend group, whatever, and not that much new stuff I've gotten super excited about, unfortunately, lately. But like, I remember there was definitely, it felt like there was kind of like an interesting little time where I was seeing sort of a lot of these, but like a good example of one of these more interesting, I think, kind of indie games with a uh, cooperative nature was a game called Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time. And it's basically like it's a side view of a like spherical spaceship, and you control a very small little, humanoid person that runs around and goes up and down ladders inside the spaceship to get to different rooms where you can do different things that affect the spaceship. Like the spaceship is also moving in space throughout the level. So you have to be in the room that steers the thing to steer it. If you want to be shooting anything, you have to be in like the gun room to be shooting or actually the guns were placed at different points in the ship, and you had to be standing in the room with the gun to actually use that gun. And the levels, like there were different kind of spaceship loadouts, and there was a decent number of levels. I remember feeling like I wish there was sort of like more content. Um, but it was the gameplay itself was really interesting. I also mentioned, we talked about games like this too, but I'll briefly mention, like a game like Terraria or, Minecraft, whatever, is a very good candidate in this space. Not really one that I played a lot necessarily, but definitely a lot of people have played, particularly Minecraft. And in kind of that vein, there was a sort of small but fun game in the Pixel Junk series of games, Nom Nom Galaxy, this one was called. And it was sort of a Terraria-like thing, except your explicit goal was to make a soup factory that made so many of certain kinds of soup in every level. And in every level, you were sort of like these sort of robot astronaut type characters that would run around the planet and sort of harvest the resources that would be necessary for you to like build the big crazy Rube Goldberg machine that was your soup factory, to use these particular ingredients that would pack up a spaceship that once it filled up with whatever the amount of stock necessary was, it would blast off to, your home planet that collected it or whatever. You ostensibly worked for a soup company that went around planet hopping to collect different intergalactic soup ingredients. So that I remember really liking that one too. I'll just mention, actually, yeah, I guess that game wasn't online, but yeah, I really like watching the space, particularly games like Lovers in a like the games like that, Lovers in a Space-Time game, where the mechanics are sort of unique. Like it's cooperative and it's sort of a unique setup. And I think there's a lot of potential for that in co-op games in general, because essentially it just boils down to, do you need to do more than one thing at a time? If so, you could make an interesting game concept around the balance of who's doing what with more than one player.
Yeah, and that's really cool to be able to work together to sort of head towards that single goal, as it were. And I like a lot of the unique sort of games that you suggested. I'm gonna have to check out the Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time in particular. That is also out on the PS4. So just in case. One of the ones that I think sort of embodies that working together sort of thing is the Overcooked series. I haven't played near as much as I'd like to. Jamie Owls, that'd be something that would be cool
Mm-hmm.
for us to play together. Speaking of playing together, we had a ton of fun with It Takes Two. Got about I think 10 to 15 hours into it, right
Yeah.
right before we kind of tapered off playing it, right before the horrific murdering elephant scene on that. Oh, spoiler warning. But yeah, it definitely, I felt like that one game of the year for a really good reason. It had really solid platforming gameplay, and the gameplay itself like varied on every single level, where one character would have a certain task and then another would maybe have something else. Like one person would be in charge of the gun and the other person would be in charge of the thing that helps move both characters. But if you wanted to stick with the same character the entire time, your role was gonna change and constantly interweave the entire time you played. It was really excellent in doing that. That also, not only could you play couch co-op, that was also available to play online, also with randos, but you're not going to have as good of an experience as you would probably playing with somebody, as we've mentioned here. Jamie Alves, am I missing anything, or was there any other couch co-op games that could have released recently that you enjoyed?
Of course, the It Takes Two game I really enjoy playing. I guess the newest Mario Wonder that we're playing together right now is good co-op game. I mean, you're a lot better at it than I am because I keep dying like heck.
And
So yeah,
and the nice thing is, sorry, Astrimedes, but they took away the ability to pick up and throw your allies in
Oh
Mario
no,
Wonder.
that game gets an F in my book automatically.
Because the new Super Mario Brothers series had that. That was a mainstay in all 5 entries of that now tired series. But nope, they I think fortunately took it away with the Wonder series.
it would have been a lot harder.
Um, Jason, how about you? What sort of couch co-op simultaneous contemporary games have you enjoyed?
Actually, the scariest part, the newest one that I have played, me and my nephew really enjoyed Little Big Planet.
Hmm.
I was
That
going to
was
bring
a
up Little Big Planet.
that
That's
was a
fun
very
one.
fun game. Yep. We haven't
Underrated,
played it in a while, but
very underrated
mhm.
game and series. Very, very underrated.
But other than that one, the only other one I could think of is that we tried the co-op and it wasn't nearly as good as the other ones. Super Mario Odyssey does have a co-op playthrough, but it is so difficult to get a hang of because the second player only controls the hat.
Ugh.
Yeah, so one player's controlling Mario while the other player controls the hat, and trying to co-op that one, not nearly as fun as the other games.
Yeah, a better 3D Mario that had that on the same system as Super Mario 3D World.
I can believe that.
Ugh. Storm, how about you? You might be muted.
I am not muted. Look
Up
at that.
there.
I thought I had muted myself. I am not. So I was like, oh, let me find the mute button. The only one I've been through lately, besides the zombie army party, is that Evil Dead West that I've played with Simbu. And your 2 cowboys following around this town, killing zombie alien things. And it's very bizarre, but it's fun. And yeah. The only thing that stinks is because we played it on his, like, it doesn't
Now
save
all
on
your
my side, it
progress
saves
is
on his
linked to
side.
that one. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
fundamental problem with those games.
So,
I think it's Evil West is the game you're talking about,
yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
Evil West.
that's I will rename things as I go. I'll rename it, just correct me, it's fine, because I'm old. So, my memory is whatever.
I like where you went with it.
Yeah,
Thank
you. Evil Dead West, it made sense.
I,
Right.
I call that the Redfall problem, where when you play with other people, you don't advance forward, but only one person in the party does. Yeah, that's the Redfall problem.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's like,
whoever
thanks,
party leader,
suckers.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry, Simbu. What was that?
whoever party leader is, they advance forward. Common issue in the old Borderlands games, but has been fixed
Good.
in newer iterations.
And while you're sort of enlightening on us on that, so what sort of contemporary couch co-op games have you enjoyed that have come out recently?
So I want to go back in time real quick to the PlayStation 1 era.
Oh, that's not
want
contemporary.
to
Can't allow
I
it.
want to give a shout out here. I'm winding back the clock to when we were talking about PS2 because Inferno Fox completely skipped PS1.
Yeah.
I want to shout out to Jedi Powers Battles on the PS1. That was a lot of fun to play co-op. So now that we're back in regular time now. I did play Army of Two. I enjoyed the fact that you had to have the second player to complete the game, whether it was actual player controlled or CPU AI controlled. There was a lot of just comical moments, such as you two try to open a door together. It's a sliding door. The one guy's holding it open, and he, as you go, the other guy goes to move through. He puts his foot back and trips him, and there's a level of like brotherhood there that you don't see in a lot of games. So which made, between the two characters made it very memorable. Evil West was fun. Unfortunately, Storm, I kind of lost interest in it. Kind of got a little bit bland for me, but
Yeah, it's
it
fine.
was fun playing. It was fun playing with you.
Yes, that's just about it. It was fun with you. I tried once on my own. Sorry for interrupting, and it froze at one point at me. And I've not touched it since because
no.
it made the whole system freeze, and I was like, and we're done.
It was a sign.
Yes.
Yeah. Other games, again, Jason mentioned, Little Big Planet. That was, it's always a lot of, yarny fun. I haven't played It Takes Two, but, kind of branch out a little bit. And Borderlands, the whole being able to drop in, drop out play style. I could be playing, and then, Inferno Fox logs in and is like, hey, I'm going to jump in, with Simbu because he's playing. That's always a lot of fun because, again, it's the same thing. You guys are together, even though it's FPS and you may not be on the same screen together, but, physically you're in the same place and time together. So it's a lot of fun. Those are always a lot of fun. That's kind of realistically, I think that's about it. Wow, I don't play as many co-op games as I thought.
Was Left 4 Dead 2, was that co-op?
Yes. Left 4 Dead was definitely, yes. Left 4 Dead was a co-op, but Left 4 Dead 1 was really great. Left 4 Dead 2, they kind of got a little wonky here and there. But yes, Left 4 Dead definitely was a lot of fun. Was a lot of fun to play.
Gotcha. I was just wondering on that. I was looking back at, or trying to do some history research on the topic overall. Like I felt like I couldn't get a definitive answer on that. As we're rounding out here, and sort of closing up shop, just want to see favorite memories. What's one of your favorite memories with any of these simultaneous games? Actually, let's just limit it to one memory. Your most favorite for a simultaneous co-op game. Jamie Owls, I'm putting you on the spot right now. What is your favorite memory?
Favorite memory of a co-op game?
Yep.
Ooh, probably obviously Toe Jam and Earl. My brother Jeff and I would play that together, and there was always this thing where I always enjoyed playing Earl. He was Toe Jam. Whenever if he ended up falling to another land that I would always have to follow, and so I could just see Earl fall on top of Toe Jam. But him and I used to always enjoy just the little random things that happened in the games. There was a mailbox that would run after you. Sometimes the water would have a little shark. So Jeff and I would take turns going into the water to see if the shark would get us, and we try to get out. It was just like little fun things like that. Yeah, I'll probably hold that special memory in my heart because him and I used to always play games a lot as kids, and now that we're older, he has his own place. Like I don't really get to play games with him as much, and he kind of got out of that too. Like I know he has an Xbox, so he doesn't play as much video games as he used to, so we just kind of went our own ways on that. But yeah, it's Toe Jam and Earl would probably be my favorite co-op game.
Nice. That's a good one. I'd probably be right there with you. Probably favorite memory would be the RC Pro 2 one that I mentioned with my older brother and my one friend at the time. Storm, how about you? So one of is your favorite memory Miss Pac-Man with your mom, or what else?
It would have to be Miss Pac-Man with my mom because that whole, bumping into each other and you all going, ooh, who had other sides, we would do that, and she would first and last name me because she would get mad. I'm air quoting with mad, but she would, I can't say it without doxing myself. So yeah, she would first and last name me, and even when I got married, she would first and last name me with my maiden name still, and she would laugh about it and go, "Oh, correct it," and then what I mean. But anyway, it was just
Sky.
yes.
You gotta watch out for them. Bob, we had a baby. It's a boy.
Uh-huh. Yes. That was a lot of fun. Just spending time when she was off. We'd spend the afternoon playing, Miss Pac-Man and trying to beat it a couple times. We did together make it through all levels of 99 levels, and I also did it once on my own. So together we beat it, and then I did it on my own. My mom never did it on her own, but she did with my help.
That's a good one. I like that. Simbu, how about you? Most favorite memory with simultaneous gameplay, and why is it throwing a grenade on Mobster and Jonathan trying to fight each other? Because that's my favorite memory of you doing that.
I don't think that counts as simultaneous gameplay because we're all trying to kill each other. That falls in deathmatch territory.
Yeah, I would agree.
But if we did do deathmatch territory, just I mean, if we want to talk deathmatch, lobbing a sticky grenade and pegging somebody in the visor, so all they saw was just blue on their screen while they waited to explode. But it's funny. I don't really have many, really good memories from, growing up and playing simultaneous gameplay and stuff like that. I would probably say, if anything, just the little bit of time I spent playing with like Jason the 13th. But it was always fun going to the arcade and seeing the back of the Jurassic Park SUV sitting there and going to play the Jurassic Park shooter, the 2-player shooter in that, because that was always fun.
Nice. That's cool. Speaking of Jurassic Park, Jason the 13th. Yeah, you knew you were getting called on that after he made the Jurassic Park thing.
Yeah,
because you're a dinosaur.
Yeah, I
That
feel
too.
like one. But,
Not the mama.
But as for favorite memories for like these type of games, probably Little Big Planet, because I literally got the game to sit and play with my nephew, and it was one of the few games that weren't Fortnite, Minecraft, or him playing Roblox. So sitting there playing with him, playing Little Big Planet is probably just nothing specific, just getting him in, just trying to get him into other games, because he has a habit of going to like his 3 games, and that's all it is those 3 games. Although Fortnite is not one of those 3 anymore, so
So you lied. It's only 2.
No, he's got a third. His other games are Farming Simulator and Trucking Simulator on Steam. He loves those.
Oh, that's fun for him. No, that's cool. That's a nice memory. Astrimedes, how about you? What's your favorite simultaneous gameplay memory?
Probably playing. It's probably a toss up between playing Golden Axe 2 in the arcade with my brother. I remember being really fun and memorable kind of co-op experience. Not as many, like the most specific memory I can call to mind though would be playing Zombies Ate My Neighbors with my good friend, and then us like getting to the level called Titanic Toddler for the
Oh, the
first
giant
time,
baby, right?
where there's a gigantic baby that stomps around. I think there may be a little like screen shake or some kind of effect as he stomps around or something, and just seeing it for the first time, because the game was really good at kind of just revealing new surprises even after you've been playing it for dozens of levels. There's like a new enemy or a new mechanic they throw in there or something, and it was pretty that in particular was pretty memorable.
Nice.
I do love the amount of 80 slasher references in Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
you had a Leatherface reference, the Chucky reference, the Jason and Michael references. Like that was
Yep.
always the fun thing. And when you get to a new level and all of a sudden you hear a chainsaw, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. There was like the very clearly Jason character. Like I remember one level was a hedge maze where the Jason character with the chainsaw could cut his way through the hedges and like find you. Fun, simple mechanic. Yeah.
You had to a couple of the survivors. You had to have him cut the hedge maze so that you could get into it in there, but without him getting to the survivor before you.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Getting flashbacks. Gosh. No, that's good. Yeah, so definitely let us know in the comments section below what some of your favorite memories are with some of these multiplayer simultaneous games. If, of course, you are watching us on YouTube, and if you are catching us on audio through Spotify, Amazon Music, or Apple Podcasts, then log into YouTube and let us know in the comments section below. But thank you again so much for joining us. We're going to be here again next week, next Tuesday, for another fantastic video game podcast. I have been Inferno Fox, and joining us again were Jason the 13th. We had Simbu Darkfang. We had Stormrosesky, Astrimedes, and Jamie Owls 87. You're going to have links to all of their content where applicable in the description below. Thank you especially to said fantastic crew. And we just want to go ahead and wish you a fantastic day, evening, morning, whenever you are listening to us. Thanks again.